the durva-tremi combination is being evaluated in the Himalaya study, and that's versus sorafenib. And that study has completed accrual, and we're waiting for the efficacy readout. At the same time, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, nivolumab, and ipilimumab got accelerated approval in second line based on one of the arms of the ever-expanding Checkmate 40 study, which was a phase 1b/2 type study. And their response rates, again, were around 30%, plus or minus. But in that study, 50% of patients actually needed steroids to manage their adverse events. But needless to say, it appears to be very active. And that regimen now is in a frontline study, the Checkmate 9DW versus frontline TKI. But there's other things going on as well, other combinations. The combination of lenvatinib and pembrolizumab has very provocative data. There was an update at ASCO. Rich, did you see that data presented by Andy Zhu?
Yeah, so Dr. Zhu presented data. This was obviously a combination of a TKI now, TKI plus a PD-1. And there was a LEAP-02 study was presented. It had about 100 patients on the study. And one thing that you noticed from the study was that, number one, was that the response rate seems to be a little bit higher than the typical combination of IO-IO. It was hovering around close to 40%. And the median overall survival was hovering around 22 months. So obviously, there's definitely a rationale for combining TKIs and IO. The fact that the TKIs will change the microenvironment of the tumor and allowing, once again, the immune system to kick in, allowing the IOs to work better. So obviously, based on the 100-patient data that was seen at ASCO, definitely the combination of TKI and IO could be another combination that's in the works. And currently at this time, there is a phase 3 study going on right now that is comparing this combination of lenvatinib plus pembrolizumab to lenvatinib alone in a phase 3 setting. So obviously that trial is still ongoing right now. So obviously that trial, from what it looks like from the data, we're expecting to be positive just based on some of the numbers that we've seen. But obviously we have to wait for the final numbers to come out. But once again, this will add another sort of weapon that we could use on these patients. Atezolizumab was approved so far. But as you mentioned, Rich, there are a lot of combination study that's going on first line right now. And we're waiting some of the results to read out. And maybe by the time next year, there will be 2 other combinations that's approved or that isn't working in first line.
Yeah, that would be a good problem to have, certainly for our patients, right? I think certainly the more options available, the better outcomes will be. And so pembrolizumab and lenvatinib was evaluated in the LEAP-002 study, another phase 3 study, which, like Himalaya, has completed accrual, and we're waiting for results. And that regimen actually got a breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA. And as we combine things, we generally, start to see more side effects. But again, with the pembro-len data set, we see len-related side effects, and we see pembro-related side effects. Kind of similar to I Am Brave, where, we don't tend to see synergy with the side effect profile, say, with those 2 combinations. And at the same time, cabozantinib, which is approved in second line, is being evaluated with atezolizumab in a phase 3 study, the Cosmic 312 study, though at this point, we don't have a lot of early phase data to evaluate these that specific combination. Also at ASCO, we saw some data with a new TKI, donafenib. This was studied versus sorafenib in mostly China. Rich, given this is a drug we're not familiar with in the US, can you comment quickly about that data set?
Sure. The drug called donafenib is a TKI that's actually molecularly very similar to sorafenib and regorafenib, actually, if you look at it. And it is a drug that blocks the VEGF and the RAS pathway and seems to be more potent than sorafenib. And this was a trial done all in China. This was a phase 2/3 with a non-superiority, non-inferiority with a superiority built in to the study. And the trials are, randomized study comparing, and the primary endpoint of the study was overall survival. And this drug showed there was a benefit of overall survival by close to 2 months, by 12 to 10 months, favoring the arm of the donafenib over sorafenib. So I think there are two take-home messages with the trial. Number one, as you mentioned, Rich, this is the first TKI that has shown OS benefit of sorafenib. As you mentioned, lenvatinib was a non-inferiority study. So that's important. But the second thing that we must have to point out is that because it was done in China, bulk of the patients, I think 80% of the patients in both arms had Hep B. So why is that important? We know that sorafenib works much better in patients with Hep C. That's been shown over and over again. Therefore, because the trial was done mostly in China with most Hep B patients, so the efficacy of sorafenib is probably a little bit inferior than some of the other phase 3 studies we've seen. So based on that, so maybe that has something to do with it. But regardless, this is another TKI that has been studied in first-line setting that has shown OS benefit for sorafenib. So that's the significance. Unfortunately, this trial is all done in China, so that drug will not be available here in the US, but maybe in the future, it may come up with a combination with other studies.
So, and certainly it reflects the global interest in this disease, given it's one of the leading causes of death worldwide, and the incidence continues to rise.